So before we get too far, I had a little project for a little guy I'm mentoring. And he has 2 clementines, and he needs 2 people to draw on them. He can't draw on them himself. So I've done one. I put a little smiley face. But I was wondering if you could help me, give me some ideas what to draw on this one. Any ideas? Should I do some big eyebrows or throw some ideas out at me? We need to help this young guy.
Pumpkin face.
A pumpkin face? Okay, you want to carve some pumpkin face, make it like a little jack-o'-lantern? Yeah? Yeah, okay, we could do that. We could do that. It's not about losing what we have. It's about losing the opportunity of expression. Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and most welcome guests, don't die with your music still inside you. This is exactly how I felt on a call we had about a year ago. And if you can imagine yourself in our position, it was about 2 a.m. in the morning when we got a call for a vehicle accident. And while we were responding en route in our fire truck, it was a confirmed vehicle accident into a side of a bridge, what was like a structural support to a bridge. And while we pulled up to the scene, we saw that there was a bit of a hill before the bridge. And there was a young female driver and a young male passenger, and they must have been going at a speed whereas they caught a little bit of air and weren't able to adjust their turn at the bottom. When we arrived, we could see most of the impact was actually on the female driver's side of the vehicle. And we could see that she must have been unrestrained as she was now going towards the male passenger side of the vehicle. We could recognize that she did not have a good outcome. But on the other hand, the male passenger was unresponsive. So we tried to quickly, with our equipment, extricate the male from the vehicle so as to save him from the gruesome discovery of a close relationship of his girlfriend that had passed in his lap. Unfortunately, despite our efforts, we weren't able to do it in time. And I remember him shouting and screaming at what he had found. And so these stories, these calls, caused me to do something I do often, which is to reflect. To reflect. What causes a young man to scream? What causes us to feel so broken-hearted when somebody passes on? And like I said, I don't think it's that we're losing our material things. I think it's that we lose the opportunity to play our music. We lose the opportunity to realize our potential. And so I've identified 3 ways we stop ourselves from playing our music. And the first one is just that, death. Sometimes we can't avoid it. Sometimes it happens to others at a really young age where they have a smaller window to play their music. So how can we overcome that? We can respect death and say things like, this may be my last time to speak to you today. This may be the last time I get to smile. This may be the last time I get to laugh, and enjoy and respect death by living in each moment. When was the last time you saw me? Does anybody know? When was the last time you saw me? Yeah, I missed a couple of weeks, so the week before last. But the fact is, we know that was the last time. Every time is the last time. And that's the challenging part. But if we can live like that, knowing everything we do is the last thing, then we've respected death. And the second point, and I'd like to demonstrate by doing a little bit of back and forth, is that sometimes we downplay or we shrink. So I'm going to be Mike, and I'm also going to pretend to be Jay. Are you ready? I'm going to say, Jay, I think you're an amazing speaker, really good. And Jay might look to me and say, oh, well, Mike, yeah, I'm all right, but everyone here is really good. Everyone's really good. We all bring something to the table. And so a lot of times we're worried that if we take full credit for something, we cause other people around us to feel insecure. That if he's saying, oh, I'm good, I'm the best, then it implies that other people must be worse. And so it's almost a part of our Canadian society that we downplay or that we apologize for being amazing at something. It's going to hurt your feelings, right? So that causes us to shrink. We're turning down our music. And so to go the other way with that, how can we expand? How can we expand ourselves as opposed to shrink? And I think there's a progression to it. And if it's about speaking, we'll say, this is how I feel the progression goes. First, we have to invest in ourselves. We go to Toastmasters, we learn, we say, I think speaking is when I feel like I'm playing my music. I love speaking. So I've invested into it. From there, maybe we tell others, oh, I love speaking so much, you should come to Toastmasters and see what I'm learning. Come see what I'm learning. Others might say, oh, I don't know, it might not be for me. Right? So then the next step is, no, I can see where your speaking is wrong. You have to come to Toastmasters. And we start telling people, you're crazy, this is what you have to do. I can see where you can communicate better. This is for you. And I think the next progression to that is we start asking questions. What if you could speak without fear in front of people? Does that interest you? What if you could communicate your message in such a powerful way that you could persuade people? Does that interest you? And now through questions, we've created internal motivation and internal realization for that person, or maybe they never thought of that before. But I think even more importantly, when we found our music, the best way to share it with others is to live it so well that other people ask you the questions. And they say, Mike, you're such a great speaker. Jay, you're such a great speaker. How do you move an audience? Would you say that this person is at the most motivated level? I would say so, right? So it's to have your music and to play it so loudly, not to make others feel insecure, but to inspire others to play their own music and to play it at the level you're playing it. I think the other reason we die with our music inside us is because we feel as though we don't deserve it. So I have a check here, and it's for $5,000. I scraped some funds together, put some money into an account, and I just scraped together $5,000. And I'd really like to give that to someone for coming to all the meetings here. So it's gonna leave me a little short, but I'd love to give that to you.
No, I'm not qualified.
No, you don't. Why don't you want it?
Because I have not been here all the time.
Oh, okay. Okay, you won't take my $5,000?
Well, with that, no.
Okay. So we can be so fair with ourselves sometimes. We only accept and pursue the things we think we deserve. The things we think we deserve. So with that said, how can you do what you need to do to feel deserving of your music? If in your life you want to be financially free, what do you need to do to deserve it? If you want to win a Stanley Cup, what do you need to do to feel like you deserve it? And then when you do those things, you will have that in your life. For me, I've wanted to coach people to be financially free, fit, and fearless, because that's the world I want to live in. And so the only way I feel that I deserve to be financially free, fit, and fearless is if I can live it so well that I inspire other people to do that with their life. And so in conclusion, to play our music loudest, we have to become the change we want to see in the world. This is our unique contribution. And in the same way, people will respond as the rising tide raises all ships. Now when death comes, we will not actually die. Because we were the change we wanted to see in the world, it is in the world. And our music has been heard. And yes, I've realized it really isn't that long before God tells us to lose it. So what are you waiting for? Start playing your music.